And so while you tell us what episode we're about to enter, we're going to greet everyone. I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Tending Lilith's Fire. Annie, do you remember? Are we
episode 23?
23. Excellent. So that's more like, is that like 63 with counting priestessing the priestesses?
No, it's 41.
41. Okay. So we are playing with the numbers. We're playing with the new format right now because we're in a silly mood, but also it's our first recording of the new year. So it has taken us almost 2 months between illness and the dark winter times when we all go within and COVID and this week tech problems and issues. And so here we are.
And last week we were tending Lilith's fire alarm. Literally, right. A friend of mine just said, oh, that's what happened, because we were about to hit record and the fire alarm went off in my building and I had to evacuate. So
right.
It's been a thing. So today, usually we sit and plan what we're going to talk about. And today Devorah said, let's just start. This is like the most off the cuff we've ever been. We have no idea what's in store for you today.
Before anything else can happen. Yeah, I'm just anxious to start. One thing I can start with is, I mean, we had one idea from last week, but I think I can't remember if it was exactly this, why it's taken so long for us to get started again in the new year. But I want to start with this beautiful Urban Crow card that I pulled from that deck by MJ Cullinane, and it's called Anticipation. And I really love that because when I pulled it this morning, for me, it's all about hope. And it's interesting, though, she's got a lot of bistro chairs and tables, which is like an outdoor cafe, but nobody's sitting there. So that's, kind of representative, not in a great way of, how many cafes look right now, because we're afraid to go there and mingle. But I also like to think of it in terms of anticipation and for each of us that may mean different things. So I'm just going to jump in and say what it is for me in the moment. And then Annie, I'll turn it over to you. And that is the Lilith Institute app, because I am so excited about that. And it has really taken over my life already in the last couple of weeks. I did my first live stream today, which is a huge challenge for me. And I think it'll get easier the more I do it. But I want to have maybe every Friday morning what I started on Instagram, a brief practice of some kind, and an invitation, of course, for people to watch and then later maybe join in some other kind of setting. It's not set up like Instagram Live where other people can come and comment and participate in the conversation in the moment. Unfortunately, I tried to see if that was possible for more than one to live stream, but it isn't. So we'll find other ways to have active conversations in that space. It's now in the App Store, both on iPhone and Apple and Android, Google Play. And so Annie, you may have your own space there, I know, and certainly we will have our links to these broadcasts on our YouTube channel, Tending Lilith's Fire. And we always want and invite your comments both here on YouTube and in the app if you are joining us. It's a Lilith Institute, I just want to say, is a center for feminist spirituality. And so we have women-centered content, and it is really a space and an organization since 25 years now that is dedicated to honoring the sacred feminine in everyone. And so that's where we come from. And I just want to say that, and just very excited. And so for you, what are you? I'm anticipating growth, big growth this year, and expansion of the community. And so Annie, how about you?
Ooh, whoa. Okay, wait. But first, I just really want to, I don't want to go to me yet. I want to say, wow, what a huge, like, kol hakavod to you, all the honor, and what a great thing that you've done. Thanks. You've been working so hard on building the Lilith Institute and its offerings and ways for people to connect. And then you got inspired by the possibility of having your own app, and now it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. It's in stores, people. You can join.
I know. I look at it every morning, and when I wake up, it makes me very happy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I love that you look at it every morning when you wake up and it makes you very happy. This thing that you created so lovingly that represents this space that is growing for those of us who want to engage with feminist spirituality.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
So good.
Yay.
Whoa. Okay. So anticipation. I have a lot going on, and today I did some writing, some channeled writing.
Yay.
I've had this sense that I should be doing that more often. And finally I succumbed today. I opened my sparkly, this is
Beautiful.
the
Very
journal that I use
invitational.
for,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And it's one of these like sequin reversal
Oh,
ones.
gosh, that's gorgeous.
You know,
yeah.
It was a gift for my 40th birthday.
Oof.
And I'm 42 now. So the fact that it's not even full is, a sign that I haven't used it enough, but I am now.
All right.
So today I had a session with a client, and we were talking about, like just the intensity of what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I think that influenced this message. So I'd like to just share, and it feels connected to your question of anticipation, because one of the first things you said was that the anticipation for you is connected to hope.
Yeah.
And I think this message is part of how we get there. And my client was really feeling like she was feeling hopeless, and also that in a way hope is naive. And so I feel like this is a response from source.
Yeah.
About that. I said, "I'm here, Mama. What do you want of or from me?"
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pause for one moment.
We're back.
We're back.
So that was, "I'm here, Mama. What do you want of or from me?" And she replies, "Grief, tears, allowing. Feel your feelings. Joy comes with, after, before, around grief. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Tears aren't always wrought from personal pain. It doesn't have to be your own hurt. Allow empathy. Soften your heart to the pain of others. Move for them. Grieve for and as a member of the collective. When others are hurting and have to survive without room for fear or grief, the collective can feel for and with them. You were told it's not your pain, how dare you feel it or express it? But that's a lie. It's all our pain. When we run from it, hide from it, distance ourselves from it, it grows and it will find us all. But when we own it, feel it, allow it, seek to be with it, heal it, it heals in, with, through, and for us all. Stop there.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to look at my computer. Keep going.
Yeah, it just feels like the question of what do we do with these feelings we may have, for example, and in particular, we're talking about, my goodness, like Russia invading Ukraine,
yes.
Families in Texas being told that right. Gender affirming parenting is child abuse,
and they should be arrested. Yeah.
Yes, that end is criminal.
Yeah.
And yeah, to name a few. And some of us who maybe you're not in Texas, or you're not in Russia, or you're not in the Ukraine, and so we have these big feelings, and we're like, how do we see that happening and not feel like the world is just going to hell in a handbasket? Right. And what do we do with it when we feel like we are just supposed to go to work or do the next thing? And so I loved this answer, because my client and I think we were wrestling with it, and I said to her also, like, you're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to be furious, you're allowed to feel like the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, and you're allowed to hold space for that. And so I felt, and then a couple hours later, I received this message that was like, in fact, we must, right? Like those of us who are feeling it must feel it. Yeah. I saw on the news yesterday an interview of a mom with her young kids, and they were in a bomb shelter in a subway station. in I guess in the Ukraine. I didn't catch exactly where they were, and the interviewer, I mean, I kind of wanted to yell at her. It was on the BBC. The interviewer was like, "You're so brave. Aren't you scared?" And the mom was like, "Of course I'm scared,
Right.
but I'm staying calm for my kids." And so I feel like this message is like for all the moms who feel like they're not allowed to feel their grief or fear or anger, for all of the people who are living through horror right now, those of us who are witnessing, we can feel it and support the collective in our full feeling of these emotions.
Yeah. And we have to know how to protect our energies too, so that when we're counseling people or just sitting with them, that we are not depleted at the end of a day. And that is one challenge that I have, certainly. Yeah. And I'm sure.
Yeah. And so there's something there. So protecting so that we can do the work that is meant for us in that moment.
Right.
And, you know, what are we being called to do? Are we being called to be in survival mode because there's something literal and acute that we are being asked to survive right in front of us? Or are we being called to just be present with how it feels to be a witness to what that is? Are we being called to hold space for someone else who needs to be processing their own survival mode or their own feelings? And then just doing what is correct for presence in alignment in that moment for each of us. And the way that we're being invited to action is different depending on, I mean, I have this word from Reb Zalman, deployment, right? Like how are we each
deploy you, right?
Yeah. So how are we each being deployed in the situations that we're facing in the world right now?
Right.
And how do we get to hope? You know, that was the question in the anticipation of what's coming. In order to get there, we have to be present with what is.
Right.
And that's actually, you know, in a latter part of the message that came through was about just being present with what is in the full spectrum of what's possible to be present with. Because, you know, pushing it away doesn't actually, you know, give us any more time.
Right. Right. And I have, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I have a situation in Napa just now, and the North Bay area that I just read about, twice in 3 days of anti-Semitic messages being delivered around town. And there was a second occurrence, really twice in 3 days, of specific instances of people having a bag with a paper in it with a really negative anti-Semitic message. And when one case, a bag of, there were little stones in it, and the other case, it was rice, so that somebody can throw it from their car, because they're cowards, of course, and just throw it to somebody's porch without being seen or caught on a Ring camera or one of the other porch cameras. I'm not sure where I'm holding that, because I have not yet gotten furious. I have not fallen yet into despair. But I know it's in my gut somewhere, you know, and it's going to come out somehow. But I have a lot of work to still complete before sundown and before the weekend. I have events on the weekend, you know, so I know it's kind of getting compartmentalized, but probably not really. Probably it's running through my nervous system or whatever, through my blood. And you know, just even now talking about it to you, I want to just scream and shout. But because I don't know what the resolution is to that. I can imagine my own response if I caught somebody doing it, but it wouldn't affect anything, really. It wouldn't affect the outcome. It might even encourage that person to do more of it, you know? So that's anyhow something sitting with me at the moment. And of course, what's going on in Ukraine is and in this country, you know, I mean, then the anticipation also of, you know, it can be not just of hope and of positivity, but it can be anticipation of negative things, right? And of
trepidation.
Right. And so one thing that occurs to me is I was very excited to see Biden's choice for Supreme Court justice, African-American woman, who would be the first African-American woman to be on the court. And in the same time, we know that the other side, so to speak, is going to put up a hell of a fight to keep it from happening. So there's that kind of anticipation also. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot right now.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge that it's a lot. It's a lot. And it feels like it's sort of a constant. I mean, I'm in Toronto, Canada, and we just came through a few days of the Emergency Measures Act being implemented, and like.
And what does that mean there?
It was in response to the Freedom Convoy protests in Ottawa,
right,
and a complete failure of the legal system to address that. And sort of, you know, so instead of using, you know, it's like, why do we have a police system? Like, instead of dispersing the crowd using the system that supposedly is in place, they were allowed to continue protesting, and then the government invoked emergency measures instead.
I see.
And but the emergency measures allow, it sort of like bypasses the legal system. So now, thankfully, it's been I don't know what the right word is for this, but like, it was enacted and now it's been unacted, like turned off. I don't know what the word is. But it would allow, you know, basically like intervention in people's lives by government and police and law enforcement, like without what otherwise would be required for cause. So infringement on people's human rights in the name of what this act, it was I have intentionally been avoiding reading about this stuff, so I'm not going to be able to articulate correctly like the dates, but it used to be called the War Measures Act, if that helps. So like that level of like the country going on red alert about a peaceful protest, which had definitely problematic actors, but at its core was a non-violent protest. So there's things in Canada right now are quite tense, around even like how people feel about what that protest was, and whether it was violent or not is in debate. And so, you know, on top of what's happened for me being in Canada and Toronto, where we've had protests around the corner from my daughter's school and counter protests to those. So we're getting emails weekly, you know, we might have to shut the school if this protest spills out over the weekend. So on top of, you know, what's happening far away, I'm also feeling the what's happening close by. And we have, you know, each of us, I know, Devorah, you and I, and plus like all humans, we also have things going on in our personal lives that are challenging. And this winter has been particularly extreme in weather, at least here, like yesterday, it was really cold, but it seemed like the ice was finally receding. And this morning I came home after dropping my daughter at school in a snowstorm, -15 and a snowstorm. So it's just like, I was like, this is the hardest winter I remember in a long time. Like the weather makes it harder, the isolation, you know, the sickness, whether it's COVID or something else, like it's just been a lot.
Yeah, no question about it. Just no question about it. And I think that's, again, part of why we haven't been able to do this for so long. In fact, it really is, it feels like it's 2 months into the new year, but it feels like even more. I mean, I know we recorded in December, but December was also a tough month. It's, of course, a usual time to hibernate and go within and so on. And many people get depressed and all of that. But this one seemed more prolonged somehow, and certainly stretched through the second or third week of January. So yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, we're in late February now.
Yeah, I know. It's almost March.
Yeah, so it's been, yes, it has felt, I agree with you. It has felt long. It has felt hard. It's no wonder we haven't managed to record. It feels seasonally appropriate somehow. So, you know, I'm like, okay, here we are in the season of emergence. We're emerging to, we're returning to.
Yeah, I mean, the sun gives me just so much hope. I can go out and walk again, you know, I can get on the highway again. So there are those kinds of things where I've been affected more than usual, I think, by the weather, because I would have been on the highway a few years ago, rain or snow, you know, not that I've been snow in California, although we have snow, we don't have it where I've been living. So anyway.
You were talking about bringing us back to like the hopeful anticipation. And I wondered, I think there's something in here later. It was on that track. Okay, I'll just, if that's okay, I'll just share this additional piece.
Sure.
When you feel stuck, trapped, resistant, return to what is and allow it to be with you and through you completely. I promise, in its fullness, shift comes. There is hope in there. There is truth. There is always this moment and then the next. Even if you stop, the next moment will come. Allow it, breath by breath. Allow it all. There's more, but I feel like that's what gets us there.
I just love it. Would you read that last part again? Like
from the last line, even if you stop, or before that?
Right before that, so we know what you're referring to. Yeah.
Okay. There is always this moment and then the next. Even if you stop, the next moment will come. Allow it. Breath by breath. Allow it all.
It's beautiful. And I think that's a good place for us to stop. But before we do, I would just like everyone to take a deep breath with us. Because it may be your only chance in the day. I know I don't do it willingly necessarily very often. So let's just take a deep breath in. And a slow, long exhale. I was just reminded by my teacher, Rabbi Shefa Gold, yesterday about something she calls the calming breath. And it's about taking an inhale, going as far as you can, and then go a little more. And then on the exhale, the same thing in reverse. Exhaling, and when you think you're done, exhale a bit more. And I did that 3 times today when we were having some kind of discussion. We both needed that. And it worked. You know, it's a shifting of energy. I mean, it can come pretty quickly if you don't think you have time for meditation. And often I'll even get a reminder on my watch, oh, time to breathe. It's a 1-minute exercise. And I can't tell you how many times I have thought to myself, I don't have time for this. You know? And if we don't have time to breathe for 1 minute, I think we should examine our lives. Because it's at those moments we need it the most, right? And it really does shift us, I think, often, not always, back to center. So that's the my last bit, my last offering for the day. Do you have anything else you want to share before we close?
I want to say that I'm going to share the rest of today's channeled message on my Substack channel, The Priestess is In. So if you're not yet on my email list, you can subscribe and then you'll get it right to your inbox. And you can also go to, I think it's anniematan.substack.com or some such. I'll put a link in the description for today's show to my link tree where you'll find all kinds of my stuff. And go check out The Priestess is In if you'd like to listen to and read the rest of that message that came through today and other messages from before.
Okay, so will that be part of the paid subscription or general?
No, these are going to be, as I figured out after I shared my last channeled message only to paid subscribers and realized I don't want to do it that way. Actually, yeah. I want to send it to everyone. The paid subscription will be for like when I put together a program that you can then, listen to online on your own, or if there's anything that's, I'm still figuring out what the tiers are, but mostly it'll be for content that's meant for a smaller group of people who have said, I want the special extra thing.
Right.
And these channeled messages for now, I think, are gonna remain open to the public.
That's great. So if that's the case, I would love it if you'd post it in the app as well, the Lilith app. It could be in the Women's Temple space. Would be a lovely place, or wherever you like, our community too. And so, yes, I just want to say I'm offering the similar thing in, similar and different in Lilith Institute, a general membership that's not no charge. And then, and that's for the larger community. And then three, as you know, 3 tiers of paid membership, which include things like free classes. And yeah, so I won't say more than that by now. There's something else coming up, but I won't say anything else now. Great to be with you as always, Annie.
Yes, thank you.
See you all.
Okay, see you all next time.